Hello and welcome to episode 3 of deValiante Plays As We Know It by Jaime Scribbles Games. This visual novel was part of Ichio's bundle for racial justice and equality. This visual novel contains strong language and mature themes that may not be suitable for all audiences. Discretion is advised. Now, without further ado, let's get started. So, quick save. Actually, I want to do this. Yeah. I sat up trying to shake the nightmare. I couldn't remember what it was about. Something with hands? Diva? Yeah, just a bad dream. She nodded. Do you want some breakfast? I waited for you. I leaned up in bed and Mom began to look at me. After a brief mom scan, she smiled. I rubbed my eyes. I wasn't hungry, but Mom probably just wanted the company. Okay, let me get up. I got up and pushed away the last whips of nightmare. It was as good as forgotten. Then I sat on our thin, fold-up table and ate fresh fruit and porridge. I was starting to think I could live on fresh fruit and vegetables alone. I used the recipes provided, but I'm not sure if this is how everything is supposed to taste. Better than what we used to eat. I shrugged and left out the times where we had been forced to go hungry. I think I'm going to head to the community center for coffee. She peered down, eyebrows raised slightly. I nodded. Coffee. I can't believe they have enough of supply to be so flippant about it. Coffee every morning is really nice. It's wonderful. Maybe the man... I cleared my throat and stood up, then dusted myself off and made a show of heading towards the door. Coffee first. She laughed and nodded, stood and placed the dirty dishes in the sink that had running water. It was incredible. Mom opened the door and we stepped out into the hallway. I made sure to grab the keys. This man is stalking your mother. We turned a corner and then almost ran right into the mayor himself. Oh, excuse me. Well, fancy bumping into you here. What brings you out to this block? He cleared his throat and straightened his shirt. I like to walk around. I used to jog, but this seemed more manageable. Camilla, how are you liking your new accommodations? Everything is absolutely wonderful. I'm so glad we managed to get a spot in Camden. I smiled, and I swear I saw him blush briefly. I can't imagine how you were living before you came here. Someone walking in the hallway shouted a greeting at the mayor, and he waved in reply. It's rough up there. I miss the extra space, but our home here is much more luxurious. I don't miss the random power outages either. She visibly shuddered. We use geothermal power here. It's a lot more reliable. Everything is maintained regularly. I make sure of it. He nodded and crossed his arms. He had a look about him that said that yes, he did make sure of it. I wouldn't want to be in maintenance if there was a malfunction. I'm very grateful. I don't understand the bit about thermal genes, but yes, it sounds lovely. Even happier that I don't have to worry about it. That's the truth. I'm just happy the lights stay on. We even have cold water. He smiled and nodded. I know the rooms are small. They're just lovely, so clean and efficient. Running water. Oh, that alone is enough to make me happy. Mom beamed at him and I saw him relax somewhat. I cleared my throat to ruin the energy building in the air. Mom, I'm dying here. Coffee? Right, right. We're on our way to the community center. Oh, don't let me keep you then. I'll see you around, Camila. And Diva. We separated and I eyed Mom suspiciously. The mayor seemed okay, but he was the mayor. What was she thinking? He seems like such a gentleman, you know? Uh-huh. He's also the mayor, the guy in charge of everything, and who owns this whole place. So, what does that mean? He can't be a gentleman? Why are you looking at me like that? I know. Nope, I'm still the mom, so you shush right there. I can tell you're about to lecture me, and I don't want to hear it, young lady. I rolled my eyes, and she wrapped an arm around me. Don't fret over me. I'm not that old. Yet. Or helpless. I can take care of myself. I know, I just can't help worrying anyway. After we got some coffee, we learned about the library. We had seen information about it before, but it hadn't occurred to us that we could borrow books for free. Mom had only brought a few of her treasured romance novels that were battered from frequent use. It would be good to read something new. The library was cluttered with books, and a set of desks off to the side. Apparently, they held some kind of educational services here. A guy, probably a few years older than me, sat behind the counter looking down at a book. He hadn't bothered to glance up, but I could only imagine he was the librarian. He's cute. Why isn't he a romanceable option? Hey. So, are you the librarian? Yeah, I guess. I looked at Mom and she just shrugged. She seemed content to watch me try to interact with him. How do I get a free book? He sighed and grabbed a box and set it up on the counter. He opened it without looking away from his book and then handed me 2 blank index cards. Let's look at the cards. When I reached for the box with the other index cards, the guy sat his book down and glared at me. Write your name and home index number, then give it back to me. Whenever you take a book out of the library, I'll note it on your card, and when you return it, I'll cross it out. Oh. Sounds very clever. We did as he asked, and he handed the cards back to him. Without another word, he placed it back into the box and returned his attention to his book. Before I could walk towards the shelves, the door opened behind us and someone else walked inside. Ew. He was taller and handsome, about the same age as the quiet and rude librarian. Oh, are they dating? Is that why they're not romanceable options? Not rude librarian. Hey, Trevor, you're not scaring everyone away, are you? The librarian, or Trevor, set his book down and stood up. Hello, welcome to the library. Hello, welcome to the library. Can I help you find something to read? As he spoke, his voice was deadpan, and I didn't know how to respond. Mom simply walked away toward the reading material. I should have followed her. Don't worry about him. He doesn't bite. I'm Brian. I run the greenhouse. Oh, hi. I'm going to sit back down now. Where do you get all of that youthful energy, Trevor? We are the same age, Brian. Brian turned his attention to Trevor, and I was left to my own devices. I walked around and took a look at everything that lined the shelves. The place was small, but overall, nice. The 2 guys seemed completely lost in their own little world, because they're dating, and that's what people that are dating do. Trevor was trying to read, and Brian was trying to get and keep Trevor's attention. I had finally started to figure out the organization system when I heard Mom coming. What do you think is up with them? They're dating, Mother. Mom sidled up next to me, holding 2 new books in her hands. Both had covers that depicted a man and woman clutching each other oddly. Yep, sounds like a romance novel. I don't know. How many books do you think we're allowed to check out at once? Not sure, but I suppose he'll have to tell us, won't he? I nodded and looked around the room as Mom returned to the romance section. There were tons of books lined up and neatly displayed, and it would be really wonderful to have something new to read. What did I want to check out? Something practical is boring, but I will roll for it. 1 and 2 is something easy and relaxing. 3 and 4 is something practical. 4, well, the dice are against us today, y'all. I grabbed no alternative remedy, and I met back up with Mom, and we headed towards the counter. I waited to see if Trevor would react to Mom's pile of books, but he only took our cards and notated the books we were taking. Brian smiled in a friendly way, but didn't speak again until we started to walk away. Then it was only to Trevor. Yeah, because they're dating. We spent the rest of the day organizing our tiny home and reading the books we borrowed from the library. When the time came to attend one of the career open houses, we went our separate ways. I tried to pick a good field to check out, but I had no way of knowing what would be interesting to me or not, so I just headed to the medics open house. I walked into the clinic and was hit by the chemical smell of medicine and illness. It looked like a waiting area with places for patients hidden behind curtains. There were pamphlets set up on the table and a lot of people dressed in crisp white clothing. Oh my God, your hair. A woman with big blonde hair walked over and took my arm. Like, where are these people finding these hair products? Like, for real. Like, several people have dyed hair, and then there's this woman who has probably used, like, Horde's aerosol. Hello there, darling. I'm Iris Marie Jackson, but please just call me Iris. Everyone else does. She led me over to where everyone was sitting. I saw the doctor approach. Oh, he has a different outfit. I almost didn't recognize Micah in his full uniform. When our eyes met, he leaned forward and spoke softly. Diva, I'm so pleased that you were able to come by. He turned to the others and spoke to everyone. I'm sure that you are all at least somewhat aware of what we do here in the clinic. It's important work that helps keep everyone healthy and alive. While we teach you some first aid, you can help us by keeping records and maintaining the clinic's sanitary requirements. He means writing people's names down and cleaning. Yes, Iris is correct. While doing this, I can teach you as much medical knowledge as you can stand. The more doctors and nurses we have, the safer we'll all be. How about a tour? Iris clapped her hands together as she looked at everyone. Micah rubbed the bridge of his nose. Come on now. Get close. I don't want to lose my voice. It's impossible. I started walking towards Iris, but felt compelled to stop and talk to Micah. He might get annoyed if I didn't stick with the tour, though. Let's go talk to Micah. I backed away from the tour group and walked up to Micah. He looked up from the clipboard and at me with curiosity. Yes? What's going on? You seem stressed out. Stressed? You just do not know me very well. This is my typical behavior. He gave me a small smile and started to turn away. Well, sure, but you're the main doctor, aren't you? If something is ever wrong with you, then who do you tell? Pardon? If you get sick or injured. I appreciate the sentiment, but there are very capable medics here. I assure you that if I fall, someone will be able to replace me. Oh, come on, I didn't mean it that way. You seem so tensed up. Your concern for me is touching, but misguided. He finally lowered the clipboard and looked over at me. I'm simply worried about the turnout. I was hoping to attract more newcomers. Perhaps you can enlighten me. Why doesn't anyone want to work at the clinic? I waited for a moment, but he really seemed to want me to say something. It smells kind of gross in here. He didn't even crack a smile. It's hard to return a life of blood and death when you just left it. It's not for everyone. Oh, shit. Is that your recruitment speech? Because if it is, I know why you're so understaffed. He gave me a small smile and averted his eyes. That is why Iris is leading the tour now, and not me. He nodded and then walked away to get back to whatever it was he was doing. I joined up with Iris as she was giving the final details of her tour. And that's that, sugar! Once Iris was finished talking, everyone started to leave. I grabbed a brochure and looked it over. A job at the clinic would be dangerous. I'd be surrounded by sick people. I wasn't sure if I wanted to be responsible for someone else's well-being, though it might come natural for me after so many years of looking after Mom. I headed home, but spared a final glance toward the nervous doctor. He appeared to be counting. I opened my eyes and stared up at the ceiling. There was a stillness in the room, so Mom had likely left. I knew there was almost nothing to do until the career open houses. It made me feel anxious. Mom had probably gone to the community center for coffee and a chance to see the mayor. I might as well get myself a cup before I start to aimlessly explore Camden. I ate until I wasn't hungry, got dressed, and savored the chilled water. Part of me wanted to get used to this new life. Another part of me wanted to avoid it. What would happen if this didn't last? We could be kicked out. I had heard of that happening. I needed to hurry if I wanted warm coffee. I grabbed a cup of coffee and stood near the back of the room. I spotted Mom. She was chatting happily with someone beside her. The mayor not far away. Something had my mother very excited, but I wasn't sure what. She would tell me as soon as she got a chance, though, I was sure. I finished my cup of coffee and glanced at the exit. It was getting busy in here. Louder. Time to go. It didn't take long for me to meet Mom's eyes. I waved and she returned the gesture. With that accomplished, I turned and retreated into the halls. I stepped out into the hallway, eerily quiet except for the noise bleeding out from the community center and the hum of the neon lights. I leaned against the cool wall and tried to steady my breathing. What the hell was wrong with me? It felt like my skin was crawling. Hey, it's that dude. The door opened and the noise escalated briefly. I looked over and saw Jude emerge. Our eyes met. He nodded as a greeting and then began to walk away. Alright. Do we continue as our introverted self and just go home? Or do we talk to the dude? 3. Go home. I shook off the weird urge to follow him and headed home. Whatever was making me antsy could go away if I took a nap. I still had time before the open houses. I sat on my bed and savored the quiet. I looked around the room and felt a heavy sadness settle over me. My breath shuddered and I felt tears coming. I buried my face in my hands and let the emotions crash over me. I knew I'd feel better if I didn't fight it. There were too many emotions dancing through my heart, all of them confusing. After a few minutes, I felt lighter, but also really tired. I curled up into my bed and hoped Mom would wake me if I fell asleep. I was done with today, but I still needed to go to an open house. I'd only dozed off for a few minutes when Mom woke me up. I needed to go to the community center for their open house. When I walked in, I could see that this open house was very popular. There were a lot of people here milling about. Gloria saw me and came up to me. Her movements were graceful, but her smile looked off. Are you interested in working the community affairs? We have the most fun. You get to put together all the events, and we are the ones who keep Camden running smoothly. We facilitate communication between Camden and other cities, help maintain inventories and broker trade. Lots of fun stuff that sounds dull. Lots of fun stuff that just sounds dull. Promise. She motioned for us all to sit, and she continued on with the whole spiel. I realized she hadn't just been talking to only me, so I quickly sat down and listened. Gloria outlined a typical day and the various things new people would be in charge of. As she spoke, the mayor walked by quietly, but immediately pulled attention away from Gloria. Please ignore me. Nonsense! You're an integral part of community affairs, after all. She waved him over, so he moved to stand beside her. While working in community affairs, you'll be working close with our beloved mayor. I need a strong team behind me to help cultivate the kind of society we all dream of. Gloria nodded, but I thought I saw her eye twitch. Yes, and that takes a lot of work. Fun work! Rick and Gloria started to outline and explain various job tasks, but their energy was very tense. When it was over, everyone dispersed. The mayor was quickly surrounded. Gloria began to adjust things that had been left on the table. Hey, Gloria. Good evening, Diva. Did you have any questions about working in this department? She looked up and smiled at me, but it was forced. Maybe I should say something to her about the mayor. I would be blunt. Yeah. Not really. I just noticed some tension between you and our mayor. What? No, we work together very well. Her smile became even more forced. You just seemed a little annoyed. I'm just tired. I had an early morning. She glanced towards the door, and I noticed a lot of people had left. I'll see you around. All right, Diva? Okay, get some rest. I took the hint and left. I just realized we can't become friends with Brian, but we can become friends with Trevor. And I still don't know who Sammy and Tabby are, so... Mom woke me up with a strange idea. Let's go walk at the gym. What? They have a track and stuff. Let's go check it out. But... She pushed a cup of coffee into my hands. Here. I looked down at it and blinked slowly. Oh, okay then, I guess. Great. I sighed, got ready, and followed, sipping the coffee carefully as I did. I walked into the gym with Mom and noticed rows of workout equipment. There were windows that overlooked the greenhouses, giving the room a luxurious feel. The jogging track looked inviting, and I wouldn't get to be close to the windows while I walked. And I would get to be close to the windows while I walked. I think I'll just walk around the track. What about you? I love to exercise. I could see myself spending a lot of time here. It was actually pretty nice. I can walk for a bit, then I'm gonna jog. As we started to walk along the track, a gigantic man and a small girl walked in. Oh hey, it's what's-his-face. Hey, you're going the wrong way. Mom and I stopped and looked over at him. It was the head of security, Vince. You're supposed to go clockwise. He pointed at the small sign that said as much. I hadn't noticed it before. Dad, stop. You're so embarrassing. Oh, so this is Tabby. Mom, thanks for letting us know. Diva, right? I recognize you from open house. I nodded, though I was surprised he had remembered me. There must have been a ton of people there that night. This is my daughter, Tabitha. Sorry to interrupt your workout. I just don't want to see anyone get hurt. From going the wrong way on the track? People come in here and zone out and then run into each other. Sounds crazy, but I've seen it happen. He shrugged his massive shoulders. It's nice that you come here with your daughter. She squeezed me closer. I'm Camila, Diva's mother. It's nice to see more people at the gym. You ladies have a great workout. He smiled and his daughter began to desperately pull him towards the weights. Get it, Tabby. Mom and I resumed walking, this time in the proper direction. He seemed nice. Yeah, I guess. Seemed a little uptight, but whatever. After warming up, I left Mom behind to jog. It felt good to stretch my legs. Once I had some spare money, maybe I could purchase a radio or a CD player. I had owned a CD player, but it was stolen years ago. I still had a few precious CDs, even though they weren't in great condition. They'd probably still play. When Mom was finished, we headed back home. She seemed to have even more energy now. When we arrived home, we made lunch. Since we had a bit more time to kill before the next open house, we sat around and read our books. It was nice to not have to worry about anything happening while we relaxed. Mom, any idea what you're going to sign up to do? Maybe. It's a position that is hard to get. I don't want to tell you and jinx it. Secretary to the mayor. Really? Haven't you been going to the open houses? Yeah, I have a backup plan. She shrugged and turned away from me. I felt curious but let it go. She would tell me eventually. Anyway, it was time to head to the next open house. I tried not to stress over it, but it was the last one I had any interest in. I picked ones that I thought I would like. Tomorrow was the Camden Career Fair, and I'd have to make a choice. The air was warm and wet, very wet. It was green everywhere. Everywhere I looked. It almost took my breath away. The smell, a strange earthy scent mixed with produce and fertilizer, was strong. I was so distracted I hadn't noticed him come up to me until he snapped his rubber band. And of course your shirt is off. Hey. Oh, you startled me. Really? He snapped the rubber band against his wrist, then twisted it around his fingers. So it's, nice working here and stuff. Brian's over there. He pointed towards Brian, who had met the other day in the library. So, did you just want to look at the greenhouse, or did you want to actually work here? I want to work at the library. Like, if I'm being completely honest. 1 and 2, I think I'd like to work here. 3 and 4, just wanted to see what it was like. 4, I just wanted to see what it was like. I was curious. Sure, I need a job, though. Let me show you around. Brian is busy doing Brian stuff. Brian stuff? Don't ask. He's not a bad guy, but he's easily distracted and kind of useless. Tell me how you really feel. Jude began to lead me through the greenhouse and showed me where all the workstations were. I would kill all of these plants. It was a lot more paperwork than I had realized. Lots of things to check and double check. I wouldn't be harvesting anything, at least not until I had been there a while. Apparently they had to deal with thieves from time to time. There was even a black market for some of the narcotic plants. It's a vertical garden. It doesn't need sun or soil. We use special lighting and I've lost you. No. All you'd have to do if you work here is clean. Fill out paperwork and make sure everything is running like it should. That doesn't sound so bad. It isn't. Why should I work here over anywhere else, though? You get to listen to the music I pick out. You don't have to deal with a lot of people. It's pretty peaceful here, actually. You don't get a bunch of free food or anything, and if I'm not playing music, you can hear a constant hum from the machines over the maintenance. He pointed over behind him and I noticed the noise. The sound wasn't too obtrusive, but maybe if we went deeper into the greenhouse it would be. Too bad about the free food. Though I guess everyone should be working here if that was true. I guess you should go sit and listen to Brian's pitch. He's about to start soon. Alright. 4. With me. He glanced over at Brian, who was starting to look over the group of newcomers. Oh, I guess it's better than the alternative. Come on. Jude led me towards the back of the greenhouse. He pointed towards a bulky CD player. This is my CD player. Oh, nice. Is it a Sony? I looked it over, and despite it looking pieced together with dreams and duct tape, it looked functional. Is the sound nice? Yeah, I found it and fixed it up. If you ever find any broken electronics, you can bring them to me. Really? Jude shrugged and sat on a barrel of water he seemed to be using as a chair. He poked at some flowers in the pot on his desk. What's that? Just some sweet woodruff that I need to water it. We looked at each other for a moment. He seemed to be waiting for me to say something. Shit. 1 and 2 is ask about his musical taste. 3 and 4 is find out what else he's into. 1, we're talking music. What kind of music do you like? Do you have a lot of CDs? Grudge rock from the 1990s. It's obnoxious and angry. Oh yeah? Not like there's anything new being recorded. There are other cities working on printing presses and audio recording devices. It's never a priority, but one day soon, I think. He shrugged like it was no big deal. I had no idea other places were doing that. What about you? Is there a genre you like best? I had some random CDs, but there wasn't a big enough selection to pick out different styles. Don't say that. Now I might have to piss Brian off by playing something for you. Won't you get in trouble? Jude flipped on the CD player and turned a knob on the front. I'll keep it quiet, but no, he can't afford to piss me off since I'm the one who actually runs this place. He played something winding and distressed, with lots of instruments I didn't quite recognize. It did have a strong, angry sound, which I guess is what Jude liked. Jude looked over and noticed that some of the people had begun to disperse. I guess the introduction stuff's over. You should probably go. I do have work to do tonight. Before I leave, anyway. Alright, I'll see you around. Okay? He turned away and grabbed a bucket of tools I didn't recognize. With the event over, I made my way back home. I liked the greenhouse, but it was muggy and hot. Brian didn't seem like he'd be great to work for either. Jude didn't seem so bad, though. Mom was in bed reading, and I was looking through our books to see what to read when there was a buzz at the door. I opened the door and saw Eva in the hallway. Sorry, I know it's late. We're just making rounds, and I thought I'd check in on you guys and make sure everything was going good. I bit my lip and tried to respond. I mean, yeah, it's fine. Mom called out a greeting from her spot on the bed. She must have been preoccupied with her book. You sure? I'm good. I'm great, thanks for asking. Really? Yeah, really, I'm just tired. Right. I'll see you later, Diva. She called out a farewell to my mother and left. I grabbed one of my mom's books, Sexy Man number 5, and headed to bed. Okay, so we still have to meet Sam, whoever that is. Today was the day. I opened my eyes slowly while Mom hummed and danced around the room. I know you're awake. You might as well get up and get dressed. If I must. Mom only laughed at me and went back to humming. I forced a smile. It isn't like I had a choice. I either get a job or get out. You're in a really good mood this morning. I'm looking forward to the festival. They're going to have lots of food and play music, and it'll all be decorated. Really? How do you know? Mom shrugged. A knowing smile tugged at her features. I've just heard, you know. Everyone has been talking about it. I sighed and tried to get myself clean and dressed, but my hands shook a bit. There was a crackle and the intercom lit up. It was announced that the community center was ready for everyone, so we headed out. The place was considerably busier than it had ever been. Mom was right, though. Music played in the room, and there was food and coffee set out. Newcomers milled about, but I noticed other residents hanging out as well. Everyone seemed to be in pretty good spirits despite the underlying obligation. Several departments had stations where you could sign up for a career. The 4 I had investigated were no different. Everything was really loud, and the noise echoed off the walls, which doesn't surprise me since they're mostly made out of metal. I wasn't quite ready to sign up for something, so I looked around to see if I could find someone to talk to. Alright, 1, 2, 3, 4. We got 1 is Micah, 2 is Gloria, 3 is Eva, and 4 is Jude. 1, 2, 3, 4, let's go! 1, we go to talk to Micah. Micah was sipping coffee and looking over the refreshment table with a very serious expression on his face. Hi, Micah. Good afternoon, Diva. Is the coffee good? It's sufficient as always. I like to add lots of sugar to mine. How about you? With some sugar and cream. I like to cut the bitterness just a bit. I like my coffee with some sugar and cream. I grabbed a cup to show him how I liked it, and then took a sip. How are you enjoying the festival? It's okay, I guess. It's not like we had anything like it on the surface. The concept is nice, but I would prefer to be at home reading. I don't get a lot of free time. How do you normally like to spend it when you do? Oh, in various ways. I stay home and read. Sometimes I go to the library and read. Sometimes I sit in Icarus and read. Icarus? That's it? What else would I do? Was there something that you had in mind? What the hell is Icarus? Maybe we should hang out sometime. Alright, cool. This is the first pseudo date. So 1 and 2 work out at the gym. 3 and 4 is not really. 5 and 6 is hang out. Ew. Of course. I didn't say ooh to the prospect of hanging out with Micah. It's more of the prospect of like having a relationship, which being an Arrow Ace person is not my thing, but for the sake of the story, why not? Maybe we should hang out sometime. Play a board game or something? I'll have to think it over. I do get bored sometimes. I would probably find your company enjoyable. Probably. He looked down at his feet and then back up at me. I've been told that I'm not very good company, though. Okay. 1 and 2, 3 and 4. 1. Sure that isn't true. Thank you. Micah smiled softly and began to ask me a series of inane questions that went along with typical small talk. It was enjoyable, though. I liked listening to the elegant way he spoke. Oops. I looked over at all the sign-up sheets. Time to pick something and get it over with. Alright. So how do we want to do this? Because this means this is going to affect the rest of the game, I feel. So how about we roll a d4 3 times, and if we get the same roll more than one time, we go with that answer, because I don't want to just roll once and then be stuck with it. So first one is 4, which is community affairs. It's fine. I don't want to work with the mayor, honestly. 2, security, ACAB, all that. And 3, I rolled another 2. Fine. I signed up for security. I made a need to brush up on my fitness. Choice made. Now I wanted to find Mom. I should let her know. I was curious about what she had signed up for. Finally, I saw her. Of all places, she stood beside the mayor and signed up to be his wife. I decided to wait to approach. I didn't have the energy for Mayor Davidson. He required too much mental effort for me, and I already felt pretty drained. Unfortunately, Mom saw me and they both approached. Why was the mayor coming too? Did you sign up for something? Yeah, security. The mayor nodded his head in approval. I'm sure you'll do well in that department. What about you, Mom? I honestly had no idea. She hadn't done anything but hint about it. I'm going to work for the mayor! What? As my personal assistant. Called it! It's past time I had one. With our growing population, I could use another hand to help with management aspects. I looked between them, not sure what to say. I didn't realize that was a career option. It wasn't. I offered it to Camilla personally. The more we got to talking, the more I seemed the perfect fit for it. And I just love that I'll be personally helping the community like this. She was beaming, so I smiled back at her. The mayor stood confidently, a friendly smile on his face. His stupid face. No, that's not fair. Mom was thrilled, and perhaps the mayor was just someone chipper, wanted someone chipper around to bring him drinks and pins or something. This was fine. Totally fine. That sounds really cool, Mom. I glanced around the room at the community center that I was now a part of. Almost everyone seemed to be enjoying themselves, and seemed as if all the newcomers had signed up for positions. There was no need for me to stick around, even though the celebration didn't seem to be winding down anytime soon. I could try to socialize or go relax at home. Alright. What does the magical D4 tell us to do? It says, go the fuck home. I was tired. I wanted to go home. The sooner, the better. I'd never be able to be around so many people so often on the surface. It was overwhelming, but Mom seemed completely comfortable with the change. It made me wonder if something was wrong with me. She was fitting in so well, and I felt so out of place. I made excuses to Mom and the mayor and left. I needed some peace and quiet. I crawled into bed and went to sleep. Thank you for joining me for episode 3 of As We Know It by Jaime Scribbles Games. The next episode will be out shortly. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment letting me know what you like down below. Please no hate or spoilers, as I'm not above removing those comments and the people who make them. That's all for now, folks, and I'll see you next time.